The studio lights burned bright as Lorraine welcomed her viewers to another riveting segment. Her guest today, none other than Meghan Markle. The Duchess appeared calm, collected, but a hint of tension hung in the air. The anticipation was palpable. The audience knew this wasn't going to be an ordinary interview. Lorraine began with a warm tone, complimenting Meghan on her recent ventures. Meghan smiled politely, nodding, but her eyes stayed vigilant. The British host was known for her charm, and for her precision when asking hard-hitting questions. The atmosphere was polite, but sharp under the surface. Things took a quick turn when Lorraine brought up Meghan's past interviews. "Some people feel your narrative keeps changing, Meghan," she said, raising a brow. The Duchess's smile faltered. "I think people's understanding evolves," Meghan responded coolly. The tension rose with each passing second. Lorraine didn't flinch. "But don't you think it's a bit convenient?" she asked, pulling out a quote Meghan had made years earlier that contradicted her current statements. Meghan sat straighter. "Convenient or honest growth?" she replied, her voice calm but stern. The crowd murmured lightly. "You've spoken about being silenced, yet you've done more interviews than most royals combined," Lorraine pressed. Meghan's eyes narrowed. "Speaking once your silence is broken isn't hypocrisy," she said, her tone clipped. Lorraine smiled tightly, aware that the exchange had become charged. Meghan leaned forward. "It's fascinating how I'm criticized for speaking when others, mostly men, are praised for the same." Lorraine shook her head. "No one's questioning your right to speak, Meghan. But people are questioning what you're choosing to say." The room was now tense. "You mean what they don't want to hear," Meghan snapped, her patience thinning. "People dislike the truth when it challenges their perceptions." Lorraine nodded slowly. "And yet, isn't truth supposed to be consistent?" she asked, firing another salvo. Meghan blinked, then composed herself. "Truth is layered," Meghan said. "It's not black and white. My story is evolving because I am." Lorraine didn't back down. "But your story affects real people, your in-laws, institutions, a country." Meghan frowned. "And I was affected too." Silenced, scrutinized, threatened. Lorraine paused, letting the moment breathe. "But Meghan, don't you think this silencing narrative is worn out now? You have podcasts, Netflix shows, interviews, books. How silenced were you really?" Meghan leaned back, clearly displeased. "I was silenced when it mattered most." Meghan's tone grew sharper. "I spoke to survive. I didn't have a platform back then." "You're confusing having a voice now with always being heard." Lorraine interjected, "But isn't that what the palace offered? A platform?" Meghan's eyes flashed. "A platform they controlled." The back and forth intensified. Lorraine challenged Meghan's claims about racism in the royal family. "There's been no evidence, no names, just accusations," she said pointedly. Meghan retorted, "Do you think victims name abusers when they know there'll be retaliation?" Lorraine kept pressing. "But you've named everyone else in your life, your father, your sister. Why the anonymity here?" Meghan exhaled. "Because this isn't about shaming someone. It's about addressing an issue. It's bigger than one name." The conversation was now ablaze. "But if the issue's that big," Lorraine said, "don't you owe it to the public to be fully transparent?" Meghan's voice dropped an octave. "I owe the public nothing. I owe my son and daughter safety. That's who I speak for now." A hush fell over the studio. Lorraine looked directly at her. "So, all of this, Oprah, Spotify, Netflix, it's for them." Meghan replied firmly, "Yes. To create a world where their mother didn't just survive, but fought for her truth." Lorraine wasn't moved, or profited from it. She said coldly. Meghan's expression changed instantly. "Excuse me," she said. Lorraine doubled down. "There's a commercial aspect to all of this, Meghan. You're not just telling your story, you're selling it." The Duchess sat frozen, a storm gathering behind her composed facade. With a chilling calm, Meghan replied, "It's astonishing how men tell stories and get documentaries, but when I do it, it's selling pain. I lived this. I bled for this. And I have every right to share it." Lorraine raised an eyebrow. "But is it sharing or branding?" The question lingered in the air like smoke. Meghan adjusted her posture. "I'm not your scapegoat for what's wrong with modern media." Lorraine didn't flinch. "No one's making you a scapegoat, Meghan. But accountability, real accountability, starts with honesty." "I have been honest," Meghan replied, her voice low and tense. "More honest than the system that tried to destroy me." Lorraine's tone shifted slightly, more pointed. And yet you're thriving. Massive deals, red carpets. Is that what destruction looks like? The crowd shifted in their seats. Meghan glanced around, visibly affected. Surviving doesn't mean I wasn't broken. I rebuilt myself. That's what women do. Lorraine nodded slowly. Or rebranded yourself, she added. Meghan stiffened, clearly done with the pleasantries. You brought me on here under the guise of conversation, Meghan said. But this feels like a courtroom. Lorraine replied coolly, you brought controversy into the public space. That space includes critique. Meghan rose slightly. I don't need to justify my existence. Lorraine leaned forward. Then why are you here, Meghan? Why come on a public platform and bristle at public questions? Meghan's eyes narrowed. Because silence is complicity. I came to speak, not be interrogated. Lorraine stood. Then speak with consistency. The interview reached its boiling point. Meghan, breathing heavily, looked around the set. I've had enough of this, she said. Lorraine crossed her arms. If you're walking away again, Meghan, it says more about you than your critics ever could. Meghan froze. There was a long pause. Lorraine stepped closer to the center of the set. We bring guests here for honesty, not headlines, she said firmly. Meghan's eyes burned. This was never about honesty. It was about humiliating me. Lorraine shook her head. No, Meghan. That's your guilt talking. Gasps echoed in the audience. Meghan stared Lorraine down. You think you're clever, but you're just another cog in the media machine that demonizes women of color. Lorraine didn't budge. Or maybe I'm just not afraid to ask what others won't. Meghan stepped back. You don't deserve my story, Meghan muttered. Lorraine responded sharply, then stop monetizing it. That was the last straw. Meghan removed her mic, her eyes cold. I won't be part of your theater. Lorraine gestured to the crew. Then please leave. This interview is over. Meghan turned sharply toward the exit, the cameras still rolling. Her heels clicked against the polished studio floor as silence fell. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Lorraine stood firm, her hands clasped, watching the Duchess walk away without another word. As Meghan reached the edge of the set, a producer tried to stop her. Maybe we can take a break and come back, he offered softly. Meghan shook her head, voice curt. No. I'm done with fake civility dressed as journalism. She walked off stage without looking back. Lorraine turned to face the camera. Well, ladies and gentlemen, she said calmly, that was not the conversation we hoped for, but it was certainly revealing. The audience remained quiet. A sense of disbelief had swept the entire studio. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of the confrontation flooded Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Opinions clashed fiercely. #Meghan vs Lorraine trended globally. Supporters praised Meghan's composure. Critics accused her of walking away from accountability. Lorraine received both praise and backlash. Some viewers admired her for asking tough questions. Others slammed her for being combative and dismissive. TV networks across the globe began replaying the moment. The drama had officially gone international. Backstage, Meghan's team rushed to her. We should release a statement, her publicist whispered. Meghan sat silently in her dressing room, staring at her reflection. Let them talk, she finally said. They were going to anyway. Her voice carried pain and exhaustion. Lorraine remained in studio, debriefing with her staff. Did I push too hard? She asked, genuinely contemplative. Her producer shrugged. You asked what needed asking. That's what journalism is. Lorraine nodded, but the encounter lingered in her mind. By evening, major outlets like BBC, CNN, and Sky News ran headlines. Meghan Markle walks off Lorraine interview. Experts were invited to dissect every facial twitch, every pause, every word. The world wasn't just watching, it was analyzing obsessively. Piers Morgan chimed in online, unsurprisingly siding with Lorraine. Finally, someone holds Meghan accountable, he tweeted. Celebrities split. Some defended Meghan's right to walk away, others applauded Lorraine's unapologetic questioning. Oprah Winfrey, surprisingly, made a cryptic post. There's always more to the story. Rumors swirled. Was Meghan planning another tell-all? Would Lorraine respond again? What was undeniable was that the interview had reignited global debate. Meanwhile, Buckingham Palace issued a rare statement. We are aware of recent media events and will not be commenting. Yet sources close to the royals hinted at quiet satisfaction. Meghan's image had taken another controversial turn. The next morning, Meghan released a video message. Sitting calmly at home, she addressed her followers. "I walked away yesterday because dignity matters more than drama," she said. "My truth remains unchanged, even when shouted over." The message went viral. Millions praised her for taking control of the narrative. But critics saw it as performative damage control. "She wanted the spotlight without the heat," one columnist wrote. The public remained sharply divided. Lorraine addressed the fallout on her show. "I don't regret the questions I asked," she said. "What I regret is that the conversation turned into a clash. But journalism must challenge, not flatter." Her audience applauded respectfully. Petitions were launched online, some calling for Lorraine to apologize, others demanding Meghan stop appearing on public platforms if she can't handle scrutiny. The media storm had become bigger than either woman could control. Royal commentators speculated the interview had derailed Meghan's upcoming charity tour. Invitations were reportedly rescinded. Meghan's team denied it, but sources close to organizers admitted concern over potential backlash. Back in California, Meghan and Harry strategized. "We stay quiet for now," Harry advised. Meghan nodded. "But the next move is ours." They began planning an exclusive sit-down, not with Oprah this time, but a major streaming platform. Behind the scenes, Lorraine was offered multiple international interviews. She declined. "I'm not looking to escalate this," she told her team. "The world's already on fire. I won't add gasoline." Still, her name remained in every headline. Memes flooded the internet, some mocking Meghan's walk-off, others depicting Lorraine as a tough-as-nails interrogator. TikTokers reenacted the exchange dramatically. The moment had become cultural currency, debated and dramatized. Talk shows picked sides. The View praised Meghan. Good Morning Britain cheered for Lorraine. Podcast hosts dissected the power dynamics, race, gender, privilege. The event became less about two women, and more about what they represented. University professors used the interview in media ethics classes. Where is the line between tough questions and aggressive journalism? They asked students. Debate sparked in classrooms worldwide. The incident became a case study. In private, Lorraine felt conflicted. "Did I let my emotions creep in?" she wondered aloud to her husband that evening. He replied gently, "You were doing your job." She didn't like it, but that doesn't make you wrong. Meghan's team was busy controlling the narrative. Leaked clips from behind the scenes began surfacing, showing Meghan calmly asking for timeouts, requesting clarity. These clips painted a softer picture, reframing public perception again. Lorraine's network reviewed the full footage and released an unedited version. "Transparency matters," their statement read. The full video revealed moments omitted from the broadcast, including Meghan's visible discomfort before storming off. Commentators now dissected both women's expressions frame by frame. Body language experts filled YouTube with analyses. "Watch Meghan's jaw clench here, she's under immense stress," one said. "Lorraine's hand gestures show control," said another. Despite the storm, Lorraine's ratings skyrocketed. The episode became the most watched broadcast in months. Advertisers lined up. Her team saw it as a win. But Lorraine admitted to feeling unsettled by the entire experience. Meghan, meanwhile, disappeared from the spotlight briefly. "Let it breathe," her manager told her. "You've said enough for now." Paparazzi camped outside her home daily, hoping for a glimpse or a soundbite. But she remained silent. Weeks later, Meghan returned with an op-ed in a major newspaper. "Silence isn't surrender," she wrote. "It's strategy." The piece was eloquent, composed, and powerful. Many called it her redemption. Others saw it as calculated. Lorraine responded in a subtle way, closing her show with a quote from Maya Angelou: "When someone shows you who they are, believe them." No names were mentioned, but the meaning was clear. Viewers felt the unspoken continuation. Journalists around the world now used the Lorraine-Meghan incident as shorthand. "It's another Lorraine moment," they'd say whenever an interview spiraled. The event had entered media lexicon. A symbol, a signal, a new reference point. Books will someday be written about the confrontation, its cultural impact, media ethics, celebrity fragility, and public spectacle. What began as an interview became a chapter in modern media history. Two women, one firestorm. Eventually, Meghan and Lorraine both moved on. New headlines came, new controversies. Yet the interview lingered like smoke. It wasn't just watched, it was felt. It stirred something collective. And it left questions unanswered. What is the cost of visibility? Can public figures demand empathy without scrutiny? Does media empower or exploit? These questions circled in the aftermath. And both women, in their own ways, became symbols of their side. Meghan took her experience and channeled it into advocacy, doubling down on women's rights and media reform. Lorraine used hers to reshape her show, introducing new segments on bias, fairness, and dignity in journalism. In the end, the interview was never just about Meghan or Lorraine. It was about who gets to ask, who gets to answer, and what happens when no one's willing to bend. Fire met fire, and the world watched them burn. Months later, at a media summit, Lorraine was asked what she'd do differently. She paused, then said, "I wouldn't change the questions, but I might have changed the tone." The room fell quiet. Honesty still had its cost. Meanwhile, Meghan launched a new initiative focused on women in media. Control your own narrative, the slogan read. She delivered speeches across universities, encouraging young women to rewrite the way they're portrayed. One clip showed her saying, "If your voice shakes, speak anyway." The crowd erupted in applause. Meghan, for all the backlash, had inspired many. Even her harshest critics couldn't deny her influence. Lorraine's show entered a new era. She invited journalists, activists, even critics to openly discuss the limits of interview ethics. Ratings dipped slightly, but credibility soared. She'd sparked a necessary reckoning. The two women never spoke again. But their lives remained linked in the public eye, two sides of a cultural debate that refused to die. Both had fans. Both had enemies. And both had changed the landscape forever. A year after the interview, Netflix released a documentary, unscripted, Meghan and Lorraine. It featured unseen footage, expert commentary, and public reactions. It became the most watched documentary of the year. In one scene, Meghan watches the interview again. Her eyes well up, but she smiles. That woman was tired, cornered, but unbroken. In another, Lorraine replays it too. She didn't deserve cruelty. But she did deserve questions. The final moments of the documentary showed Meghan walking off the set in slow motion, then cutting to black. No music. Just silence. A silence that said more than any quote ever could. People left reviews calling it unforgettable, painfully human, and a mirror to modern society. It wasn't about who won. It was about what we saw. And what we refused to unsee. From that day forward, every interviewer, every public figure, every critic and celebrity remembered the lesson: truth, fame, and fire don't mix cleanly. But once they collide, they change everything.